Hi, everybody. On today's episode 2, we're going to be discussing the Great Resignation era. With me is going to be my co-host, Yvonne. And, of course, let us begin with what's happening right now in the world. And, Yvonne, take the lead.
Yo.
Oh, jeez.
So, we keep hearing stories in TikTok or in Instagram or in any social media platform where employees have been posting videos basically with their resignation letters. It's become more and more popular as you post videos resigning.
So basically, the Great Resignation era, from what I understand, is being heavily led by millennials and Gen Zers.
Yes.
And basically, I guess to ask you, Yvonne, what do you think is the reason for that? Because they're saying, according to some of the articles that I've read, that a lot of these people are Gen X and millennials, and the reason why they're leaving is because basically, I heard through the grapevine that it was because of lack of flexibility in the employee.
Yes, now that everything, of course, we're still living in a pandemic, and apparently now
it's gotten worse.
Yes. Employers are still expecting employees to go to the office, and they're taking away the work from home option for employees.
Which is ridiculous because a lot of people have been working from home for over a year and they've been doing even better productivity, higher productivity levels than they have in the workplace. But that's just me.
So I feel like that's one of the main reasons why we have a high number of people quitting their jobs, because it's at the end of the day, we're living in a pandemic. Are you going to be risking your life for a job that isn't even worth risking your life?
And I mean, like I said, if you've already been working from home, you've been, like, for example, when you were literally working from home the entire year last year.
15 months.
Yes, you have been working 15 months from home. And would you say that if they were to put y'all back in remote, would you still be capable of doing that same job?
Yes, for us, actually, like my numbers, so I'm a recruiter, so my numbers actually increased during working from home. So overall, my productivity was the same. When my boss did the yearly performance review, you have to write like a summary of how well you worked. Nothing drastic changed for me, only the environment.
Exactly.
So if you're willing, if you can do your job remotely, then the question is, why do they need you to come to the office?
Like, to me, I think the better option that they should have had people do was high flex. Now, for those who don't know what high flex is essentially you do certain days from home, which is what I was doing. I was doing Monday and Friday from home, and I was going to work on Tuesday through Thursday. If anything needed immediate attention, I would go on a Friday or a Monday, depending. But for the most part, that's the schedule that I actually enjoyed having, because it let me concentrate. For example, when I was working on videos, it let me concentrate more efficiently in video when I was doing it from home versus when I was in the office with all the other distractions. And for me, I feel like that's one of the biggest reasons why high flex should be the standard for the new workplace. And I feel like that's one of the reasons also why the Great Resignation era is happening, because a lot of people, specifically younger people, so like the older millennials or like the whatever and Gen Zs, they're the leading people for the Great Resignation era. And I think part of it is because it's gotten to the point where it's like, hey, I was doing this from home fine, there was no issue, why can't we keep it this way?
That's exactly my train of thought. And it's so dumb of employers, and the reason why I use dumb is because you're asking for employees to go back to work and transition back to normal office hours, when all of these variables with the having to do with the pandemic are affecting each employee? Not necessarily all of them, but sometimes it's all of them. For example, a family member could get sick and you have to take care of them.
And when you were in high flex, you only had to worry about say for example care for like 2 days.
Exactly. So what gets to me is, and I'm so glad that this is happening, and I hope it happens where to the point where it's there has to be some certain standards set for work from home.
I agree.
Because what gets to me is that they don't have any flexibility. They're not willing to give flexibility because there's this gap of age where most of the employers or companies who have higher up managers or directors, they're not willing to adapt to the technology being used when working remotely. So you have these generations where they're not willing to adapt to the technology and they're not willing to be flexible with the employees, and that's why they're getting a lot of resignations.
Exactly.
Which is great. Fight the power.
And it's actually really good that you brought that up because my next point was going to be, can employers stop the Great Resign? And if so, how? I mean,
and again, it comes back to that flexibility, being flexible. I've gone 15 months from working, being very productive
among like several different office changes in your office. You've gone through 4 or 5 different office changes.
Oh, I changed my room into my office like a lot of times. I can't keep count. But yes, that flexibility, if they're not willing to be flexible, then they're not going to get their numbers. For 15 months, for me, I did more. I was very productive. I had my productivity high, and then I had my numbers high. So if you're telling me that I can do all of my work stuff from home with this amount of productivity and this amount of success, then why can't you be flexible and let me work from home?
Exactly. And then
that's the train of thought that every American's going.
Exactly. And then like you said, we're still in a pandemic. The numbers here in Texas are going up, like substantially up. Even for those who have the vaccine, you're still getting some kind of symptoms. The other issue is also that, with the Great Resignation era, what has also happened is that a lot of boomers have basically been, what do you call
ageism?
Yeah, basically a lot of them have been cut.
They've been
pushed out. They've been pushed out to make positions for who I feel is really capitalizing on this and is in a really good spot for it, is the Gen X. So Gen X are about that age threshold to move up to replace the boomers. And with the boomers being pushed out or forcefully retire or etc., those positions are now open to the Gen Xers, who at this point in their life, they tend to be around late 40s or late 30s, mid to 40s or mid 50s. There you go. And they're the ones that are capitalizing on this because once again, the millennials and the Gen Zers are still getting screwed over because the only jobs that are available for them are low paying jobs. Exactly. So service industry jobs, for example, in Texas, the minimum wage is $7.50. The minimum wage when I was working in high school, which was back in 2006, was $7.25. It only went up 25 cents. Exactly. Everything else in regards to the cost of living has gone up substantially. So how does that make sense? And how do you expect people to want to take those mediocre jobs, because let's call them what they are, in the same as the entry level jobs that are paying essentially entry level, but they want you to have mid to senior level experience? Like, how, make me understand how that is beneficial for somebody to be loyal to a company like that. So I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are questioning, should I stay or should I go?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, is your life worth risking? Is your job worth risking your life? That's simple as that. Like, if it's yes, then yes. If it's no, then no. Go find another one. Because at the end of the day, it's like people who work with other people, like let's say for example customer service, sometimes you have to be
You're face to
face with
whoever
customers, your audience or whatever. That's something that's inevitable, but at the end of the day, are you getting enough benefit from your job to sustain yourself for the next couple of 1.5 years?
Yeah, exactly, because the other issue is like I said, these jobs that are like restaurant servers, where they're trying to hire as many people as they can, to the point that they even started considering lowering the age of which
not
somebody
only that,
can work.
They started giving incentives like a $300 bonus
for signing
up, for applying to the job and getting the job.
But see, and it goes back to, that's why the Great Resignation era is a good start to change in the workplace and the way employees and employers are creating these barbaric rules for hiring processes, etc. Because you cannot expect to not have high turnover.
Yeah.
When you're getting paid $7.25 and then you only get raised 25 cents.
I expect high turnover in a for
retail,
example,
customer service and restaurant.
Exactly that. But when you're in corporate America and you're having high turnover, then
that's a red flag. That's a red
flag, and your company needs to adjust.
Exactly. And I agree. And that's, like I said, that's one of the reasons why the Great Resignation era is happening right now. It's because a lot of people, the other thing is a lot of people realize, hey, I can make $12,000 in a week selling my own product, being my own business person. I used to make, for example, if you say, this is just an example, but say somebody who's making like $65,000 a year. They can make, if they start their own business, which most people, or not most, but most people that are quitting or doing the Great Resignation era, they started their own businesses throughout the pandemic. And now that they see that they're bringing in like 12,000 or maybe like a week or every 2 weeks. So by the end of the year, they're making more than that 65,000, and they're getting that flexibility of being their own boss, making their own schedule, their businesses, they're making sure that their businesses are growing. They have full control of themselves and their business and where their money's coming from.
It's funny that you bring this up because there was a segment on ABC 13 News. I don't really remember the name of the segment, but it was where I don't know what's her name, but the lady that goes into the Shark TV show. Well, she was actually mentioning how smaller businesses who were willing to adapt to new technology innovations, that they were the most successful, and they did see a return of investment during the whole pandemic, and are still growing. And these are small businesses. So if those small businesses in America are willing to adapt and innovate, then why can't corporate America do the same? Because, like I said, if they're not willing to adapt to new things, then employees now, most of the employees now are Gen X and millennials and the other category. Yes. Then we are technology savvy.
Yeah, tech savvy.
Yeah, exactly. So we're at a point where we had it with the pandemic, and we are looking for careers to elevate us.
Correct.
We don't want to be stuck in the same job for this amount of time, not getting anything in return.
And bringing up that about being stuck in a job and not getting anything in return. The other thing is, like I said, is you cannot be like in the olden days where there was a corporate ladder. Exactly. There is no corporate ladder.
No.
You can only move sideways now. So you have to move to another job. That's why I think studies show that millennials and Gen Z, and I think even Gen X, have had more than, I think, 3 jobs in a span of like 5 years.
Exactly.
Because there is no promotions, and if there are, it's very slow, and it's like
0.05% raise,
or like a 1%
or like
raise.
that's not worth it.
Yeah. And then, not to mention that, like I said, is you have to make lateral moves, not upper moves anymore. So there's no such thing as reaching the ceiling anymore because that ladder's been gone for a very long time. So now what people are doing is essentially, a lot of people as well have decided that, you know what, I don't need materialistic things to be happy. I'll be happy with van life. Van life has become the new thing for a lot of people.
And watch it on YouTube.
Oh, Lord. But yeah, so a lot of people have downsized.
Van life, tiny houses, bus houses.
Yeah, they've downsized.
Regrets on purchasing houses.
A lot of people have downsized because they figured it out that, hey, I only need X amount of this to basically make live comfortably. And then I think the key word is comfortably. I think people just want to be comfortable, and one of those things, or one of the comforts, is being able to have flexibility of when you work, where you work, and who you work for. And I think the Great Resign, I think, is one of those things that is really pushing that, hey, you know what, employee A is old school, wants everybody in the office for 8 hours a day, where you can finish your work in like 4 hours, and then you're just sitting there the last 4 hours just browsing social media.
The Office.
Exactly. The Office is a perfect example.
Monday.
Killing time so that you can go home. Basically, you're being held
hostage. I mean, I want to say hostage because that's
I would say you're being held on their time. And so they're wasting your time. Whereas when we were doing work from home, I could put a load of laundry for lunch.
Exactly.
I can put my load of laundry for lunch. I could run errands during my lunchtime, and I'll be back by the time my lunch was over. I could be back finishing up whatever, and then just be on standby because my work is already ahead, or in case anything came up last second, I can go ahead and get that done. On the weekend, I don't have to waste an entire Saturday to do all my chores, all my errands, clean the house, pick up my groceries, etc., and then rest or try to rest on Sunday, which not really, because Sunday is a prepping day for Monday. So when do you really get a rest day? And what people forget is that back in the old days, people weren't hard workers. Yeah, things were more difficult, but people weren't hard workers. People would harvest or whatever crops or whatnot, and that was pretty much it. That was it. You were done for the rest of the day. You were out fishing. You were out whatever. And that was it. So you probably worked hard for like 6 hours, and then the rest of the week you were done. So I'm like, when people compare it to, oh, well, at least things are easier now, because I'm like, no, because now
it's more of,
I feel like employers. I feel like employers have figured out that it's really your time that they're buying or taking from you. And I feel like now with the pandemic, a lot of people have discovered that your time is very valuable.
Yes.
So that's why a lot of people that are resigning are saying, you know what, my time, you're not paying me enough to be wasting my time sitting in a cubicle or sitting in this office, etc. Just because.
And it's so stupid because employers can be saving a lot of money on resources.
Real estate space. It would be eco-friendly too. I mean, like I said, we in my place, we didn't waste a lot of money in like toilet paper and all those commodities because most of the people were working from home. So all utilities have gone down because people are, and here's the thing, people are more than happy or comfortable using up their stuff, but don't be like Google, who recently in one of the articles that I read, and I'll go ahead and link it on here. Basically they were lowering the salary of people that were choosing to remain work from home only. And I'm like, see, that's where you're going wrong. If you were already paying them that and they're working from home and they're using their own stuff and you're saving money, why would you cut their salary?
Because it's corporate greed.
Yeah.
It's all about the greed.
It's all about the control. You know how they control you? They control you through your money. I mean, through your time. Yep. If they have this amount of time, basically you're like selling your time. That's basically what you're doing when you sell service for corporate America.
Exactly.
That's why Amazon's all about time. Jeffrey Bezos. Can I give a shout out to Amazon though? Because I ordered a package on Friday morning, and that package arrived at 2:30 p.m. same day. I tell you what.
Get into it with
Jeffrey Bezos.
Yes, exactly.
Come on, Jeffrey, let's get it. But anyways, if you've heard that song, I love that song. But anyways, yeah, he's a whole other. Anyways, I guess to finish this one off, this one was more of an opinionated piece, by the way. So I highly recommend that if you can, go ahead and leave us some resources in the comments below, where this is posted on YouTube, with articles that link to other work from home pros and cons, maybe other stuff that we missed out or didn't cover on here, as to why people are quitting.
Or how would you resign? If you were working right now and you don't like your job, how would you go about resigning?
I have seen some very creative TikToks.
Me too.
And social media posts on how people have resigned. Some people have taken cakes. Yes. Some people have, of course, done the original I quit and then just leave.
The speech.
Their little speech. Some people have done their little walkout with their music. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's a good one. How would you, if you could, or if you were, how would you resign your position and be part of the Great Resignation era? Leave it in the comments below, people. Leave it in the comments below. And I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, it's corporate America, and then to me, it feels like they feel entitled to because the regular work day is 8 hours. They feel entitled to the 8 hours that they pay you for. And then, if anything, some people, which really I would say the boomer era basically made corporate America comfortable overstepping on those 8 hours. And hence, that's where the salary came in place. Whereas, outside of those 8 hours, you're not really supposed to contact employees unless it's an emergency, etc. But then you have employees working more than 8 hours to keep up with their job demand. And that, to me, is where corporate America is taking advantage of people who let them. Because they're not paying you for more than 8 hours. They're only paying you for the 8 hours that you're putting in.
Exactly. It's a tough subject, but I'm looking forward to hearing more stories about the Great Resignation.
I kind of want to see what the effects of it are.
And I want to see the effects and what comes about it, especially because the pandemic benefits are not going to be extended or have already been cut off.
Yeah, the unemployment benefits.
Yes.
And I mean, you don't qualify for unemployment unless you get fired, I think, or let go or laid off.
But I definitely want to see what's going to happen.
I want to see what the statistics are, too.
Yes.
So apparently, if you're looking for a job, now is the perfect time to look for a job as well. Yes. Because everybody that's leaving positions, those positions are becoming open. And then some of those people aren't even looking for other jobs. They're just going into businesses themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you can't support your small businesses, and that's the other thing too. It's like corporate America now is just seen in such a bad light that we're reverting back to the small business.
There you go, Walmart, Target, Starbucks.
Ooh. But thank you for joining us today on the Great Resignation era. This is more of an opinionated piece. So if you, like we said earlier, if you have any ideas for topics or anything else as well, go ahead and put it in the comments. Let us know how you would resign if you could, or if you were thinking about it, and link to any articles if you have seen any that pertain to the Great Resignation era.
And then last thing, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell for notifications.
But anyways, thank you everyone for joining me today. I appreciate it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll be following up this topic hopefully in a couple months. Once we see what
a couple months, or actually in our year in review.
Yep. Okay. So we'll see you then. Bye.